Have you ever stopped to listen to that voice in your head? The one that never shuts up. The one that judges, criticizes, tells you what to do, and sometimes what not to do. It's with us all the time. So much so that we start to believe we are that voice. But what if I told you that voice is not you? From the moment you wake up, it starts talking. Get up. You have so much to do. Why did you say that yesterday? You should have tried harder. It's a constant monologue. A background noise that, even if you ignore it, is always there. But here's the unsettling part. If you are the one speaking in your mind, then who is listening? Try this experiment. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a moment of absolute silence. No thoughts, no judgments, no words, just you, in that pure emptiness. If that voice disappears, who remains? Here's the truth many avoid facing. That mental chatter, that whirlwind of thoughts that seems to define us, is nothing more than an echo, a reflection of years of experiences, fears, and expectations. But what we truly are is something much deeper, much more mysterious. Pay close attention to this. When you feel anxiety, what is it that truly overwhelms you? It's not the event itself, but the story your mind builds around it. That voice that exaggerates, imagines the worst, and whispers, "This is going to be a disaster." And here comes the unsettling revelation. That voice is not there to help you. Its function is not to comfort you, but to control you. It's the filter through which you experience reality. And most of the time, that filter is distorted. Let me tell you something fascinating. Neuroscientists have discovered that most of our thoughts are automatic, not conscious. Your mind is like a program running in the background, repeating patterns and beliefs you never even chose. That mental chatter is just a habit, not your true self. But here's something even more disturbing. That inner dialogue can be your worst enemy, or your most powerful ally. It all depends on whether you choose to identify with it, or not. Because here's the real trap. Believing that voice is all you are, when in reality, you are so much more. You are the observer, the silent witness, the one behind the endless chatter. Now, think about the moments when you have suffered the most. Think about it carefully. Isn't it true that much of your pain comes from the thoughts that arise in your mind? This will never get better. I'm not enough. That mental chatter isn't just noise. It's a story-making machine. Stories that shape how you see the world and how you see yourself. But here's the key. You are not those stories. The oldest cultures already knew this. In Buddhism, for example, it's taught that suffering doesn't come from what happens, but from attachment to those thoughts. And meditation, that ancient practice, is precisely a training to observe that inner dialogue and not identify with it. Because the moment you stop reacting to every thought that appears, you free yourself. But you don't need to be a monk to experience it. All it takes is a pause. The next time a negative thought invades you, stop and ask yourself, is this real, or is it just my mind playing tricks on me? That simple act breaks the spell. It dismantles the illusion that your mental chatter is all you are. Listen closely to this. You are not the voice in your head. You are the one listening to it. And the moment you separate yourself from it, you begin to take back control of your life. Because real magic happens when you stop being trapped in the stories you tell yourself and start living from a deeper place, from a more authentic place. Throughout this video, we're going to unravel a mystery that few dare to question. How does that mental chatter take control? How does it distort our perception? And most importantly, how can we break free from it? Because the first step to reclaiming your power is understanding something fundamental. That voice in your head is not you. And once you truly grasp this, you'll discover a world of possibilities. Are you ready for this journey into the unknown? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you won't just have learned how to recognize the voice in your mind. You'll also understand how to reconnect with your true self. And trust me, what you'll find in that silence is far greater than you ever imagined. Because the real mystery isn't in the stars or in the deepest oceans. It's within you, in that voice that never stops. The one that judges, compares, remembers, and plans. But tell me, have you ever wondered where it comes from? Why does it sometimes seem like it's sabotaging you? Or worse, why does it feel like it knows you better than you know yourself? I'm about to reveal something that might change the way you see life. That mental chatter that has always been with you is not you, but it's been there for so long that you started to believe it. Isn't that unsettling? It's as if you've lived your entire life with a stranger inside you. Someone who speaks in your voice, who uses your memories and desires, but deep down is nothing more than an imposter. Imagine this. You're in a room with a friend, but this friend never stops talking. They remind you of everything you did wrong yesterday. They tell you what you should do better tomorrow. And just to top it off, they make sure you never forget all the times you failed. Now tell me, how long could you tolerate it before you'd had enough? Now think about this. That same voice, the one that never stops, lives inside your head. And the worst part isn't that it's there. The worst part is that you listen to it without question, as if everything it says is the absolute truth. But here's the secret. That voice has no real power, unless you give it power. Every time you accept its criticism, every time you get lost in its worries, every time you give in to its fears, you strengthen it. But there is a way out. You can learn to observe it, to break it down, and finally, to silence it. Let me tell you a story. It's about a woman named Anna. Anna had a life that, from the outside, seemed perfect. A good job, friends, a loving family. But every night, when she lay down to sleep, that voice appeared. It whispered her insecurities. It reminded her of every mistake. You're not good enough. You never will be. And Anna believed it. That voice controlled her. It stole her peace. It kept her trapped in a cycle of doubt and self-criticism. Until one day, she'd had enough. She decided she couldn't keep living like this. She started researching, looking for answers. And that's when she discovered something that changed everything. She was not that voice. She realized that her mental chatter was like a program running on autopilot, a system fueled by years of limiting beliefs and past experiences. But the moment she recognized this, something inside her shifted. Instead of reacting to the voice, she started observing it. And over time, that voice lost its power. Anna's story isn't unique. We all have an inner voice, one that can be our worst enemy or our greatest ally. But the real trick is learning how to distance yourself from it. Because the more space you give that voice, the less space there is for your true self. The one that is at peace. The one that knows what's right, without needing to be told. Now, I want you to do an exercise with me. The next time a negative thought arises in your mind, pause. Don't judge it. Don't try to change it. Just observe it, as if you were a spectator watching a movie. Because when you stop reacting, that's when you truly begin to wake up. Now, ask yourself, where does this thought come from? Is it truly mine, or just an echo from the past? You'll be surprised by what you discover. Because most of the ideas you take for granted, they don't even make sense. They're like leaves carried by the wind. Useless. Fleeting. The key to freeing yourself from this mental chatter isn't to fight it. It's to stop identifying with it. When you learn to separate yourself from that voice, you realize something incredible. You are so much more than your thoughts. You are the space in which those thoughts appear. And in that space, there is freedom. Now, think about this. If that voice were truly you, you wouldn't be able to observe it. You wouldn't be able to question it. But you do, don't you? That is the ultimate proof. You are the observer, not the observed. And this simple shift in perspective has the power to transform your life. So, who are you really? That's the question that brought us here. And now, after this journey through the shadows of your mind, I hope you've begun to understand something fundamental. You are not your mental chatter. You are not that voice telling you who you should be, what you did wrong, or what you should fear. You are the space where that voice arises. You are the silent observer, the one who, despite the constant noise, is always there. Now imagine for a moment what it would be like to live without letting that voice control your emotions, your decisions, your life. Can you feel the weight lifting? This wouldn't mean the end of your thoughts, because thinking is natural, but it would mean the end of their control over you. And here's something powerful to remember. You don't have to believe everything you think, because in reality, you are not the sum of your thoughts. You are the awareness that observes them. And that awareness is free. It always has been. It was just waiting for you to realize it. From now on, whenever that voice whispers something that makes you doubt yourself, that awakens your fears, that makes you feel small, stop, breathe, and say out loud, I am not that voice. I am the one who listens. Because that simple act of distancing yourself will give you back a power you may not have realized you lost. Mental chatter is like the narrator of a book. It can tell the story of your life in many ways. It can turn everything into a tragic drama or an epic adventure. But you are the author. You decide whether that voice enslaves you or whether you take control of the narrative. So now that we've reached the end of this journey, I want to leave you with one last thought. The next time you find yourself trapped in your thoughts, ask yourself, who is listening? This question, though simple, has the power to break the mental trance so many of us live in. And little by little, you'll start to see life in a completely different way. Before we say goodbye, I have a thought-provoking question for you. If that voice is not you, then who are you really? Leave me your answer in the comments. It doesn't matter if it's short or long. Write it from the heart. Because this space is more than just a channel. It's a community of seekers. People like you, exploring the deepest corners of the human mind. And if this journey resonated with you, if it made you reflect, or at least question something you once took for granted, subscribe. This channel is a refuge for restless minds, for those who seek answers beyond the surface. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell, because what's coming next will be even deeper and even more transformative. And to wrap things up, if you want to take a small task from this video, do this. The next time a negative thought tries to trap you, stop, smile, and say out loud, thanks for your opinion, but I don't need it. That simple phrase is a key, one that can open the door to true mental freedom. Remember, the abyss of your thoughts does not define you. You decide whether you stay at the edge or take a step toward freedom. See you in the next video.